My channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and we break down everything that we can regarding the world around us, our shared experiences, and also some of our past traumas. We evolve together. And what I wanted to do, I actually had a comment from one of my subscribers and friends here, Jess Theory. She was talking about seeing the slices of lemon above me. And when I'm shooting in a certain room in my house, this is what you guys will see, this thumbnail, very often. And so I wanted to focus on it, and I'll make this a really quick video. I wanted to explain why I do this. I have one on my side of the bed and one on my husband's side of the bed. On my husband's side of the bed, I have acorns tucked into it, reminiscence of squirrels, which are his favorite little animals. He's like Dr. Doolittle. He's an animal whisperer in his own way, and really has got me in touch with the animal kingdom, and very psychic, powerful gifts there. But it's a reminder to squirrel away money to save. He's a Capricorn, so I'm playing to his sign, and so as soon as we pop open our eyes, we both are manifesting, and that's what I wanted to create: abundance, green, leafy energy. Green having to do with the heart chakra. Copper is woven into his side. Copper circles about continuity, commitment, consistency, as well as the acorns, and there's even a squirrel over there too, because I wanted him to be thinking about manifesting. Copper is also for virulency for men. It raises their sexual sacral vibration, also makes them feel very much in charge. It's the essence of like the cock, like a crow, like a cockadoodle crow, not a crow, cockadoodle, yeah, a rooster. Thank you, Lord Jesus. It's late, or is it early? It's early. It's 4 a.m. for me here, Eastern time. So what I wanted you guys to see, I have a client coming up here soon. Yes, clients come early because I work with people in different time zones. So I had to get my non-sleepy voice on and get some coffee going. But I have these acorn string lights on his side too that you may not be able to see. One day I'll light them up so you can see. On my side, I have slices of lemon, because I love yellow. We both do. That happens to be me and my husband's favorite color is yellow. And we both love yellow, but I love yellow. As a Leo sun sign, that means everything to me. It's the solar plexus. It's the biggest star in our galaxy. It's everything to me. It's how I regenerate myself through vitamin D in all ways. Well, I also have some copper butterflies over here for me as well as I do for him. But what I did differently was I glued a bunch of brooches to my leaf here. And so I'm going to raise this up and see if you can see, maybe take a screenshot and widen it out so you can see. But there are frogs, there are hummingbirds, there are dragonflies, there are butterflies, there are bumblebees, peacocks, elephants, owls. I think I put everything up here but the spider because that one I couldn't manage, even though I have made a lot of peace with spiders regarding creativity. So I created a ceiling for us that was immersive and interactive, that was dealing with our manifestation. That lemon, for me, specifically just makes me happy. Always love lemon trees and Meyer lemon trees, and I have them in my house. And citrus is a huge, big part of my life growing up in the Keys, and my father grew citrus too. So I have other gems and sparkly things up here because I'm always shooting for the stars, and I love abundance. So the second that I wake up, what I do is I see, where do my eyes rest on this leaf that is above me? And that is my cue to understand what it is that I might need to be manifesting. Because each one of these animal totems carry with it a vibration. And so I, being a former preschool teacher, understand exactly how we manifest, in every single way, and we bring it into us. And so that's one of the things that I do. Now, I also have the lemon slices are actually string lights that are glued up there. And then I did some trompe l'oeil effects with cutting out some lemon material and gluing it. So it has a very 3D effect, because that's the art that I create when I'm making 3D art. I make art for manifestation, and I'm commissioned to make art for people in that regard to help them raise their vibration. I might even put up a piece that I was commissioned to make, and it helped someone regarding finances. So it was filled with amethyst, and all she gave me was a feather. That's what she wanted me to do, or she sent me a picture of a feather more accurately, and she said, I leave the creative liberties to you, and I took them. So I'll put that on my community page so you guys can see that and understand how I imbue any piece that I make. There have been people that dealt with poverty consciousness, and I made them a tree full of pennies. My art is not guided, and I am self-taught. lot, but it means, and this, I wouldn't call this art, I would call this an interesting installation, especially for it being in the bedroom. I focus especially on the green hues here and the palm trees above on the material there because of growing up with the Keys in my island connection. So that was a nod to that for me. But my husband's far more earthy, and that's why the acorns and the squirrels and the copper was very good for him with his Capricorn energy. But for me, I loved having the multiplicity of animal totems to choose from. So when I look up in the morning, I see what wisdom I will be taking from, and my eye is always drawn to something different every single day. And that's how I start my day with manifestation. I've been really refocusing my mantras, what I speak over myself. I've been really refocusing on all kinds of symbology, and I'm going to really start to teach you guys that. We've done a lot of trauma healing and all that stuff, but this is the good part of spirituality. It is there for spiritual warfare, and unfortunately, we will have to go through that, but it's not always spiritual warfare. Sometimes it is just happy manifestation and creating the life that we want. So I would highly suggest, if you're interested, take a screenshot and like blow it up and kind of see what's up there and see if you see anything that's interesting to you. What are your eyes drawn to? That's what I would say to my kids. I spy with my little eye. What do you spy? And that would be an indication of an animal totem that you might need to look up via Google and see what messages it has to say for you. In every corner of your home, you can create manifestation, you can create abundance, you can create new ideas. Our angels communicate with us in a multiplicity of ways. The conversation is layered and varied from angel numbers to animal totems to messages to dreams to songs to license plates to billboards to scents to food. We are these living vessels. And it was so occurred to me today. I was scrolling through something and I saw a picture of a man, and they had his veins that were bursting into leaves coming out of his body. And I have been on a very vegetarian-ish leaning journey, and I'm not for any ethical reasons other than that's what my guides, my angels were telling me. They were like, it's time to make that switch. Maybe not even permanently, they said, but just somewhat. We're going to ask you to really focus on that. So tofu casseroles and various things of that nature, and other things. And a lot of Asian food too, which is fantastic. In any case, it really struck me like we're all connected in how our internal organ system and our veins and everything replicate trees completely, and it's something to be thought about. And so, tonight I was thinking about that, or well, yesterday when Jess commented, or whenever she did, I thought, hi Jess, if you're listening, I thought, this is something I've never really talked about, why that is up there. And it's because, well, green one for healing and heart chakra, but also for healing regarding our mind, body, and soul connection. This is not about money. This is about health and vitality. And that's what my angels have had me really focus on in the last 7, 8 months was, what does health feel like for you? What does it look like for you? And there are messages that will come through to guide you in your health. There are some days where I needed to look up and see that elephant and be reminded of my ancestry, because that's what elephants deal with, being with the tribe, following things, being by the book, not abandoning ship for friends and family. There were some days where I needed to tap into my wisdom and the owl spoke to me. There were some days when I needed to make a leap and the frog spoke to me. There were some days when I was in chrysalis and it was hard and uncomfortable because I had beautiful wings that were all cocooned and the butterfly spoke to me. And so you don't have to build this like I did. This is my natural inclination and bent to create vibrancy and color in every corner of my space because that's who I am. If it's not you, that's fine. A post-it note will suffice, or pay attention to actual wildlife when you're outside on a walk. Does a bee land on your car? Are dragonflies gravitating to you? Are you seeing fireflies? There are messages in everything. I just decided to make it more substantial for my husband and I, and actually create opportunities for our messages to speak to us the second we crack our eyes open. And I didn't make my husband's, as you can see, all colorful and everything. I gave him what he needed, which was grounding for his Capricorn energy. And so that is what I wanted to share with you guys today, is that it is absolutely okay to play. This also deals with healing my inner child. And I was telling you guys the other day, above me in my closet, I have, well, ahead of me in a closet, I have a book that was given to me by a longtime mentor and friend called Change Things by Amanda Gorman. And it's a children's book that she wrote, but it's all of the colors of our chakra and the rainbow, as kids love the vibrancy. And that's the way that I live, and it's the way that I express myself. It's greatly the way that I dress. That never retired from me. People made fun of it for me my whole life, but I didn't care because I knew that I was exuding my own light. Everyone's not called to that. Some people might look really great in black, and there are days when that's appropriate for me too. But I want you to listen to your inner child and do what you're called to do. I felt this, and the leaves themselves are from IKEA, so anybody can find them, and they're very reasonable. I think they're like $14 or $15 for the leaves, and then of course I embellish them as I saw fit. But do what works for you, and they're actually made for bunk beds. Okay, so they are actually made to be used in this kind of way. Obviously, my husband and I have a king bed and not a bunk bed, but that is what I want you guys to understand. Some creativity is simplicity, and it doesn't have to be lavish or elaborate, right? But this fit for the kind of life we have, and I imagine as we evolve and move on in life, maybe there'll be something different that I am gravitated to. But grounding us in this way with my lemon slices of yellow chakra creativity, that's what that yellow's for. I wanted endless creativity. As soon as I woke up, I wanted to be the light, I wanted to be bright, and I wanted my husband to think about his finances and our finances, and I wanted him to know that there was safety. Because when we come from a poverty or lack consciousness, and it's something that my husband struggled with, as I did too, in different ways, we will not think that there's enough. And I wanted to create abundance over his head so that when he looked up, it was just every little acorn tucked away. I glued and glued and glued for about an hour when I did his installation because I wanted him to feel completely nested and safe. I knew it would fit primally for his Capricorn energy. He is incredibly primal, and it's in such a wonderful way because I'm more esoteric and ethereal. And when we got together, I wondered how those two things would play. Well, they play quite beautifully, and he's introduced me into the animal kingdom. This is a guy that like knows when a hawk is flying by and exactly what's happening. He pays attention to the soap opera of the animals outside. I'll never forget dating him in the beginning, and he came in and he went and ran and grabbed a broom, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I've got to chase away these crows. They're trying to get these baby bluebirds out of the nest." And he was out there like mediating this animal kingdom fight in this great big live oak tree that we have in front of our house that has probably that's probably easily 200 years old, easily 200 years old. It's majestic. It's like Sleepy Hollow. It's magical. It's very Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, which is something that we watched when we were dating initially. And we created our own magic. And his angels, the angel that he works with, which is Ariel, is the angel he works with, which deals with the animal kingdom and shelter and homes and provision, has given him gifts and walking sticks and things like that. Maybe I'll share those stories someday when I'm back on camera. And I'll show you the walking sticks that were just dropped in his path, specifically after we watched Lord of the Rings. My husband has an incredible connection to the animal kingdom and to all of the things that we may overlook easily. Growing up with a lot of space and farm animals and land and all of that in upstate New York, as he did, he was privy to that from since the time he was a kid. And he speaks the language of all animals. He's fantastic with my bestie's animals. They freaking adore him. She calls me all the time and she's like, they're pissed because Uncle, I won't say his name. My husband is not there. So Uncle, my husband, is not there, and whatever, because he spoils them, and he speaks their language. He gets right down on the floor with them, and he is so like Caesar Milan, but in a good way. If you have any controversy with Caesar Milan, he knows how to lead the pack quietly without needing to be the most imposing stature or dog in the fight. He has this really strong stoic energy, and he's taught me well, it's so funny, I'm a Leo, and in his own way, I wouldn't say he fully tamed me, but he certainly helped me to ground in ways that were absolutely necessary for me to grow in a lot of ways. And sometimes that's frustrating. That's a funny thing about relationships, where I will think, I want to be free. I want to be a free balloon. I want to be like so many balloons filled with helium, never tied and then set free. But he has been lovely and positive and solid in grounding me. And that's because he spends a great deal of time in the animal kingdom. Anyway, I went on a little rant. I guess my angels needed me to say that out loud to somebody, or maybe just for myself to remind me of what I have. When you have good energy in your life, guys, life partnership, I heard someone say this recently. We don't celebrate, at the end I cancel people through all kinds of things in their relationships. And we don't celebrate the person that loses the Super Bowl. We celebrate the person that wins. But the point of any marriage or partnership, in whatever way you configure it for yourself, is to go the distance. There will be times where you're losing, where you're down, where you have flags on the play, where you're not making the touchdown, where you've lost ground. And then you refind your way. When people talk about the 7 year itch, it's a thing, but any relationship, with my husband, with my friends, with my parent, with my family, they take time, they take cultivation, they take investment, and they take energy. And it's a long haul. Nothing is easy. Now, I started this talking about manifestation, but I do manifest with my husband. And maybe this is a little nod for anybody that's building a relationship. Maybe manifesting with your partner would be advantageous too. And that's as simple as writing down things that you both would like to do. You don't even have to read it. Put it into a jar and take a look at it some years later and see how far you've come or how far you didn't come and what alignment you had to be in. When he was teaching me about animals and how to speak to them, and he did, and he does it like I do readings. So that's what's interesting. I've watched in the last year as his years, excuse me, and my bestie points this out to me too. She was like, his growth in the last 4 or 5 years has been astounding regarding you and spirituality, and it's true. But it's because I connected with him in little ways, like you see over here. In little ways like this, I connected with him, and I said, we can do this, and it's not as grand or as difficult as you think. I tell this story when I first started manifesting with my husband and having him write down into jars and vision boards and teaching him about all of that. His first manifestation, no, I will never forget it. I have it to this day. Said he was grateful for, because we were doing gratitude notes, and he said, I'm grateful for chips. That's what he wrote, guys. My husband is a broski through and through. Okay, a guy's guy, professional wrestler in college and all that stuff. Like broski, center of gravity. Really good. He was really good. He won awards. Great center of gravity, and so it was simple for him. I'm grateful for chips, and then it evolved to being grateful for me, and for grateful for a wifey that was whatever I was, and it evolved to being grateful for income and finances, and it evolved to being grateful for vehicles or whatever things we got blessed with or opportunities. Grateful to now he's manifested exactly the ideal work situation for him that I never thought he would get into, but he did it with little steps like this. It's not because of me. And any change that happens in your spouse won't necessarily be because of you. They'll have to want to do it. But he paid attention. And I talked to him about his angels. And I talked to him and I watched him connect. And then he would start talking to people at his work about it, which I never thought or could ever expect. That's how it is when your spirituality rubs off on your loved ones in a positive way. But you can't force it down their throat. I didn't say to be with me, you have to be this thing. When we first started going together, I was going to church and whatever I wanted to do. I didn't one time make him come with me. I didn't force it on him, but I let him see how the magic of manifestation and spirituality works in my life. And then he wanted to emulate that, and he wanted to be in lockstep with his wife, not because I forced it on him. I've dated someone before, you guys have heard me talk about this previously, who loved magic and my energy. That song by Carlos Santana, he played for me all the time, Black Magic Woman. And even though that's not what I do, he always saw through my energy and knew that I was a spiritualist, to say the least. And I am. And he loved that about me and would brag on me and was so positive and supportive of me. That was not my husband. So that's another message here. When you're transitioning into other relationships, you will not get the same energy that you got with a previous partner. But that doesn't mean that the partner that you get can't evolve and fulfill you in different ways. Okay, nothing is ever the same, and you'll have to release that in order to really be happy. You cannot mourn over the past forever in perpetuity and ask for that back. When we talk about our animal totems and manifesting and creating opportunities to have synergistic moments and new synapses firing, we want to make that be across the board, not just what we're looking up at when we wake up, but in our relationships. Give people room to grow, to stretch, and to surprise you. My husband has surprised me. He also has taught me, and apparently I've taught him too. This is not an easy feat to do. We've been together a long time and have had many uphill battles because we are not a conventional couple, and also uphill battles because we wrote our rules for our marriage, and I was very clear about the fact that I wasn't going to be a different person just to be married. I would be a person that followed whatever rules we wrote, though. I'm still Monette in every way, and he is him, and that's here to stay, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm grateful too to see how he has evolved and pushed through some of his own fears and limitations. And we're growing more every day. We get challenged every single day. Another little message here, I guess this is about partnership. The reason that there are two leaves here is because when you're doing feng shui, in your bedroom specifically, you want to make sure there's two of everything, two lamps, two entrances for the bed. For people that have their bed pushed up against the wall, it's fine if it's the best that you can do. I get it, but you want to make some acknowledgement to your partner having their own space too in that room if you cannot have space on either side, right? Their own dresser, their own thing, their own area. That makes them feel like that you're taking pride in the fact that they're there with you. But two, is what works really well for feng shui. So that's why there are two leaves here. And that's why we've doubled it, because what we are calling in is stability in, excuse me, relationship and longevity. The bird that we associate with, speaking of animal totems, is the sandhill crane. Those are our birds. We started to notice them, and everybody gets different animal totems in their relationship if you're paying attention to it. But we live here in Florida, and these dinosaur, prehistoric, kind of interesting, majestic animals are here. And what they do is they mate for life, and they build their family, and they nest. Their mating dance is vibrant and fantastic, and you can't miss it if you've ever passed by one, but they're always together with their partner. And in the beginning of our relationship, especially if we got into a little row or something was off, then I would drive. I lived, we were long distance, and so if I was with him staying at his place, I would have to drive an hour away to go to work. And I would see those birds inevitably having their morning breakfast together in the middle, in the median, on the road, or he would see them when he was running his errands, and he would send a screenshot to me, and we just put our birds. My husband is a Capricorn. Capricorn men are not renowned for romance, but that was very romantic to me, and he was communicating to me in his love language, which has a lot to do with animal energy, meaning he really relates to animals in that primal way. So that was our message. And I painted the birds because that's another powerful way to bring in manifestations to you. If you're an artist and you have any capability to write a song, to write music, or to write prose, a story, or to even just write down words and script it, even if you are not artistic. And if you can paint, all the better, paint it. So I painted partnership regarding those birds intertwined because I wanted a connection that lasted a lifetime. And that was my nod to my husband's energy. So seek out what your partner needs. And that's life partnership. Here's the thing, guys. We have soulmates, we have twin flames, we have life partnership. You guys have heard me speak passionately in the last few years about the dissolution of an emotional wife. This is someone that my husband knew. This is someone that my husband understood was in my life. This is someone that my husband did know that I had boundaries with, though. And I had to have boundaries because she was not a good place for any seeds to sow, meaning she was very reckless, and that could have affected us. So I was very protective. But he understood my energy for her, my feeling for her, our connection, and he gave me space and grace to have it, because he didn't try to cripple who I was, because that's not what love is. But he did ask that I respect him, and so I did. It's very interesting, and to his brothers and other people in the family, that relationship may seem very unconventional, and to you listening, you may have your own version of an unconventional relationship. But I grieved. Now that doesn't mean that he wanted to hear all of it when I was going through it in the first couple months, when I was really upset and sad of losing that friendship and connection. But he still was graceful. I went to therapy, still going, but now it's not about that at all. Now it's just about day-to-day stuff. That's much easier. But I went to therapy, I talked it out, I wrote it out, I purged it out, I made videos about it. My husband lived in the house with me, okay? We lived together. So he would hear that. So I didn't hide who I was, and that came really in handy when I was having a terrible heartbreak. That's a hard juxtaposition. How are you having a heartbreak and you have a husband? Well, both things were true. And for some of you listening, the same may be true for you too. So at some point, you may have both things happening. And we can't compartmentalize that all the time. I couldn't, and I wasn't willing to, because part of what got me into the trouble in that connection that dissolved was compartmentalizing and not telling my truth sooner, faster, and more honestly. So we all have our part to play, even if it was rooted in codependency. And my husband didn't necessarily love to see me weeping and sad. And there was one time specifically, TMI, but I'm going to share it with you, he got mad and he was upset. And I knew that I had to kind of outsource what I needed because his feelings were hurt. And love is complicated. He loves me, and his feelings were hurt that I was so upset over losing that part and that relationship. But we do have many relationships that we outsource to. And it was something I was always clear about with him regarding what I would and wouldn't do. And we set our boundaries and our rules. Please make your own rules. So when we see that sandhill crane, it is a symbolism of our connection and how it will sustain. And he is a life partner. I learned about that so much when I'm looking at these two leaves above me, that we had moments where we had missteps last year, and then he absolutely caught me. Took better care of me than the nurses. When home health was sketchy, it was him who was actually literally changing my wound bandage, something I did not even want him to see, something I couldn't even see for the placement that it was on my body. And my husband, my life partner, stepped in day after day after excruciating day and did it for me. That's when I understood the grounding of my squirrel, the grounding of his acorn energy, the fact that making sure that copper was over his head every day when he woke up and that he could see browns and earth tones when he woke up was helping to align his energy because he was rooted when it came time to be, when I needed him to be there for me, and I didn't even want him to be there for me in the way that I needed him to be. It was so humbling. It was humbling to be incapacitated. For the first time in my life, Miss Independent couldn't do anything without him by my side. That's when I understood what life partnership was. And that's why I understood why I divested from a lot of toxic relationships. It wasn't just one, there were many. There was just one that was bigger than the others. But I got it. And that's why I understood why I respected him, our whole connection and marriage. Because for such a time as that, you never know when that time will come when you'll need your spouse to be your spouse. And I could emotionally call on him with no guilt because he because I didn't disrespect him. I was honest with him. It wasn't always easy. It was messy at times, but I was honest with him about who I was, my mistakes, my missteps, my emotions, and my feelings. And that very dark night of the soul regarding my health last year, like I said, there were some missteps for both of us, but he showed up. When I really needed him, eventually he showed up in a way that was incredible and literally stuck by my side. So, partnership, secure it and shore it up if you want it. Not everybody does. Everybody doesn't need a partner. Where Libra falls in my chart specifically, partnership is definitely, uh, it helps me to flourish. I am fine on my own. I've never been more fine alone. Actually, I know that sounds crazy after what I just said, but what I went through last year let me know that I could make it. Even though I needed a spouse and I needed help and I needed nurses and I needed a lot of things, I could make it. And I stopped needing a lot of companionship. It was a really interesting juxtaposition from my previous very social butterfly self. Anyway, decide what works for you, and then you'll know that you only want quality to come through. Now, everybody can't come in, but only a few. a few good men and women, and I can say that my husband is one of the good ones. And wow, I never thought I would get there. I know you're like, really? No, it's not, it wasn't that, but just, when you date people, you never think, I was living a completely different life, but God had plans for this reason and for exactly what happened. And that's what I'm saying. Write your own rules, manifest what you want to manifest. Be a spiritualist if you're a spiritualist. Don't let anybody bully you out of your beliefs. But also don't bully anybody into your beliefs. We are not going to, hammer somebody with our spirituality. I teach it here for those that want to pop in. And right now, I'm talking to about a solid 30 and 40 on a regular basis. That's because you guys are choosing to be here. And I'm so grateful for you. But when it comes to your partners, that's also something that you have to be mindful to do. Let them choose. But you can make it fun. Oh, you can make it fun, okay? Um, I wanted this to be like a tree house in our bedroom, and so I created that. Larger than life flowers and a little bird's nest and all kinds of things. I created an environment for us that makes us both happy. We both touched and agreed on what would make us both happy. Include your partner, and you'll be surprised how they thrive when they feel that they're part of your spirituality, if that is something that they have not been invited to in your life. Also, remember with the Feng Shui, two by two, if you want it to be a unit with both of you that are happy and fulfilled in the relationship. So, two lamps, two things, two this, two that, that really helps. And then, lastly, since we started off with animal totems and manifestation, identify with which animal for you mates for life if that's what you're after. If you are not after that, then no. We know penguins care for the child. Are you a mom that wants to go out and have a career but you would like a stay-at-home dad that you want to manifest? Penguins might be an animal totem you want to bring in. Okay, a mallard ducks mate for life as well. I can go through. Elephants have fantastic familial structures as well. We are primal in our way, and we're always manifesting. My husband likes to squirrel away things for another day, hence the acorns. But he also has his own funny, unique, and very adorable way, hence the squirrels. And I am a rainbow, and I don't hide it. So, with every single animal totem up here, I am absolutely delighted, and I wouldn't ever just pick one because we express ourselves differently, and that is really the fun. I love you guys. Just Siri, probably a lot more than you'd expected. It's a lot more than lemon slices for me. I'm very thoughtful and intentional, especially when it comes to creativity, because I know that it's powerful for our manifestation. Yeah, actually. I love you guys. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together. Hey, real talk with Gilly. Hey, Mona, I hope you're having a good night. So far, I woke up with this time again. This is always the time I wake up in the middle of the night. Yeah, 3:33 on the clock, as we said that, Gilly, right there. It was 33:13. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, this is definitely ascension symptoms that you're having. That people will wake up at 3:33 or 2:22 or 4:44, 3:30 specifically. They call it quote unquote the witching hour, but really what it is where the veil is thin spiritually and you're getting communicated with. So, no coincidence that we're up at the same time. You are definitely going through ascension, Gilly. So take your time with yourself, be gentle, and sleep with you can, my man. Sleep when you can, okay? So good connecting with you though, and I want you to have a wonderful day. All right, guys, come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.